What is going on in my immune system when I have allergies? And what about those allergies that don't show up on tests? Classic allergy is like giant chemical bombs going off all over the body. Scientists think we have this to survive against parasites and venom. If an immune cell were human-sized, bacteria would be the size of a cat, but a parasitic worm would be a dinosaur, even several times a dinosaur. You can't eat a dinosaur, but you might be able to blow it up and flush it out by opening the dams. And hey, if you got a snake bite, you don't have a lot of time to try and save yourself. That's why your immune system has this nuclear option that acts quick, that just might save your life or die trying. Hidden allergies are more like actual on-the-ground battle with plenty of collateral damage, what you would be mobilizing against bacteria or viruses. You've got the infantry, the snipers, the generals, some heavy artillery. The battle may be drawn out. It might spread to all parts of the body, causing a lot of civilian deaths. It will rarely kill us right away, but can cause a whole lot of ongoing symptoms and health issues. With both of these, the start is a case of mistaken identity. You see, perhaps the most important thing your immune system needs to do is figure out what is part of self or become part of it like food, and what is not. Is it something to be accepted, tolerated, or attacked? Since it's not like your cells have eyes, how they recognize something is by checking how it fits. It's like they have one side of a 3D puzzle piece that will match the molecule they want to recognize. The molecule they recognize, usually a protein or polysaccharide, is called an antigen in immunology. And the two branches of your immune system, innate immunity and adaptive immunity, each have ways to do this. And at least in this case, their names are a pretty good clue to their origins and how they function. You are born with all the pieces of the innate immune system, and it includes a decent set of these 3D puzzle pieces that will recognize common building blocks of bacteria and other pathogens. And we inherited it from when cells with a nucleus appeared, like amoeba, over 1 billion years ago. It's fascinating to think our DNA preserved this knowledge of what bad guys look like for over 1 billion years. Some of the cast of your innate immune system include mast cells, macrophages, the big eaters, neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils, dendritic cells, and the complement system. Now your adaptive immune system is the recent upgrade that only exists in vertebrates. Recent is relative here, since this emerged about 450 million years ago with the first jawed fish. And now it's like we were given a 3D printer that can make any piece we need or will ever need with a scary degree of accuracy. Then why do we even still need innate immunity? Well, that 3D printer can take almost a week to fully boot up and print enough pieces, unless we've seen the exact same threat before. The cast of your adaptive immune system include B cells, T cells, and antibodies. So we rely on the innate immune system that has all the pieces on the ready at all times to keep us alive for the first few days until the adaptive system arrives with reinforcements that will usually end the battle. So while your adaptive immune system has some awesome, sophisticated powers, your innate immune system is the one on the ground, the first responders, that crucially decides when to call in your adaptive system. These two arms of your immune system meet in the lymphatic system. It's like a slow-moving river that drains excess fluid between our cells, through which T cells travel the body about once a day. T cells and most B cells hang out in our lymph nodes. When a threat is perceived, your macrophages and neutrophils start fighting, while dendritic cells gather intel, then travel to the nearest lymph node and present pieces of the enemy to T cells. And when a perfect match is found, they are activated and rapidly cloned by the thousands. B cells can pick up a matching antigen from the circulating lymph, or they may also have them presented by dendritic cells and begin its first stage of activation. But for it to fully activate, a second signature is needed from an activated T cell. They then transform into plasma cells and start pumping out antibodies. Because our adaptive immune system is so powerful and can literally kill you, both T cells and B cells have a two-step activation process. See, our immune system came up with these hundreds of millions of years before our technology. And after the battle, a few of them will stick around with memories of that specific enemy. So if it ever encounters the same enemy again, it can mount a swift and brutal response. This adaptive immunity is why vaccination works and why it's rare for us to succumb to the exact same thing twice. So if we think about it, for an IgE-mediated allergy to occur, all of this needed to happen. First, your body has to meet your allergen, then decide for whatever reason it's a threat to you. A fight breaks out involving your innate immune cells. They decide they need backup and activate the adaptive immune system with the two-factor authentication and all that, and your B cells start making antibodies to it. Yes, allergens are also an antigen. Just remember, antigens and antibodies are like two matching pieces of a puzzle. Now, the reason why such severe, potentially fatal reactions are possible are thanks to a special type of cell we have in our bodies, the mast cell. They are large, blobby cells carrying hundreds of different chemicals. These are the chemical bombs we talked about in the beginning. They can be found in every part of our body, but more of them live wherever our body meets the outside, like just under the skin, the mucous membranes of our eyes and nose, and the gastrointestinal tract. And they have receptors on their surfaces, which are like magnets for these antibodies. So if your body produces a bunch of IgE, your mast cells end up looking like hedgehogs armed with IgE. And guess what happens the next time the allergen enters your body? They will attach to the IgE on the mast cell. It's like the allergen is the key that matches the lock of the antibodies, which will open the floodgates of the chemicals in the mast cell, causing anything from hives to severe, potentially fatal reactions if this happens with too many cells in too many places all over the body. This is the classic allergy reaction and how anaphylaxis can occur, which in rare cases can be fatal. Fortunately, IgE can be tested for in both the skin and blood, and these two factors combined, the clear danger and the testability, is why, understandably, it was deemed the only true allergy. After the first wave of allergic reaction by mast cells, basophils are called in from the blood and cause a second wave, then eosinophils move in from the bone marrow for the long siege. You might wonder, but hey, my kiddo had a reaction the first time he had peanuts. Well, there are at least 3 different ways he probably encountered peanut before. In the womb, through breast milk, or through the skin. Whatever other members of the family are eating can come in contact with the skin through the dust. Pop quiz. Then with IgE-mediated allergies, was it the innate or the adaptive immune system at play? If you said both, you're right. The cells involved, mast cells, basophils, eosinophils, are from innate immunity, but the antibodies were created by adaptive immunity. What about hidden allergies that don't involve IgE? Now we need to zoom out again and meet the rest of the cast. First, our immune system has several other types of antibodies, many different types of cells, and various forms of chemical signaling. So the reaction through IgE on mast cells is just one possible pathway out of many. When a reaction occurs through any other component of the immune system, They are called non-IgE mediated allergies. Research is ongoing on all the different mechanisms. A number of non-IgE mediated allergy diagnoses have been described, mainly in babies involving the gastrointestinal tract. We talked about this before here in our non-IgE allergy video. But I believe our understanding of these are only just beginning, and there may be many other such allergies involving other organs or bodily systems. There are several mechanisms possible that we know of, and I'm just going to introduce a few. They can still involve mast cells. They can be activated by a number of other things, not just IgE, other types of antibodies, immune complexes, or just directly. We talked about this too on drug allergies in my last video. Remember, innate immunity existed for more than 500 million years before antibodies came on the scene. That means they have ways of activating without antibodies. This is true not only for mast cells, but also basophils and eosinophils. They can involve T cells and neutrophils, thought to be the case for conditions like FPIES. Neutrophils are by far the most abundant of your immune cells. They are like your army of fierce warriors that don't hesitate to die for you. Eating the enemy, spraying chemicals, even pulling out their own insides to create traps, they can do it all. But they're not very targeted in their fighting and can cause a lot of collateral damage. Helper T cells are like the generals who boost the fighting ability of innate immune cells like macrophages. Killer T cells, the assassins, and they actually have the license to kill your own cells. It's called serial killing. Yes, that is the technically correct term. Why would you want to kill your own cells? It's necessary if you have cancer and to fight viral infections, since viruses hijack your own cells to build new viruses. So what happens when neutrophils and T cells are activated by an innocent allergen? You get a whole lot of cell damage and cell death. You may be thinking, that sounds dangerously close to autoimmune disease, and you would be correct. Take celiac disease, for example. It's one of the best known autoimmune diseases. Since it has a known external trigger, some call it a partial autoimmune disease, and that reaction to gluten is a non-IgE mediated allergy with lots of cell damage involved. In this case, destruction of the villi in the small intestines that are needed to absorb nutrients. Then there are mixed IgE and non-IgE mediated reactions. These often involve eosinophils. They release toxic proteins that can kill parasites, and like neutrophils, they can pull out their own DNA to create web-like traps. Small in number, highly capable, but again can damage your own cells and cause chronic inflammation. And then there are cases where even an IgE-mediated allergy can be hidden or have unexpected culprits or presentations. A special case that won't be detected even though IgE is involved is when antibodies are created locally, say in your gut, so it's not found in your blood. Local allergy can be mistaken for non-IgE. One very clear example how your tests can be negative for a very real allergy. IgE allergies that get much worse with cofactors can also be hidden. And those cofactors are usually amplification by non-IgE mechanisms. So out of all the things that can happen, we are only picking up whether or not we can find IgE in the skin or blood. This is why your doctor might miss many of these. And in real life, in a real person, it can be very difficult to tease out where exactly the lines fall. Multiple mechanisms can be at play all at once. After all, from the viewpoint of your immune cells, each one is just making a decision on how to react when they encounter something. This is another reason why I support broadening the scope of allergy to include all adverse reactions involving the immune system, as some scientists are also pushing for. The immune system is extremely complex and fascinating, and there is still a lot we don't know. Multiple Nobel Prizes have been awarded for finding the mechanisms that we do know. It's always humbling to remember that with science, each little piece that we get to know is somebody's life's work. To fit in this video, I presented a vastly simplified version. Hopefully enough that you start to get the sense of how the immune system is an interconnected web of many different parts and how they interact to create allergic responses, both classic and hidden and everything in between. There isn't always a clear line separating the two. And with cells traveling through our blood and lymphatic system, what starts in one part of the body does not stay there. That's how we end up with strange symptoms all over the body, including the brain. If we can change how we talk about allergies, perhaps we can reduce the number of patients that fall through the cracks of standard allergy tests. And if you want to see the deep dive on the history of why we define allergy so narrowly, check out this video here. Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next.